What about it?
It's not streaming to, so
It
I
is.
don't have access to it yet on the,
No,
there we
no.
go. Thank you
It,
very
it
much.
is.
Thank you very much.
It was streaming, but you couldn't see it on the Meet. It's no
Yeah, yeah,
problems.
yeah.
We're live.
Great.
Uh, Max and Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the channel. For those of you who are new at this, if you want to know more
Yes.
about
Hello.
tips on coding, hit the subscribe button. We are going to talk about what today? I
Some
mean,
test-driven development
yeah, yeah.
in a
As
very popular front-end framework.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
sums it up.
yeah, pretty much, right?
Um,
We mentioned in the other stream that we are devoted um, to agile methodologies in general, but we try to build as solid software as possible for our end clients, and we also teach, right? Um,
yep.
we run courses and training programs and so on. And
Workshops.
right, and one thing, one very popular front end library is React, with everything that comes with the ecosystem, ReactJS. So the idea for today is that we want to explore some explore a way to present uh, React with some tools that comes with it to be able to practice test-driven development to our students. So we've been doing it over the years, right? Many times, but I think that with all the new stuff that is happening, React being updated to newer versions and testing frameworks and libraries being updated, I think we need to kind of revisit some stuff so we can later on avoid some pitfalls
Yeah.
with our students.
Yeah.
Uh, and so it's going to be a lot of configuration first,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then some tooling, and then some development, and we'll see where we basically end up. Right. So,
Yeah.
how about we let's? How should we go about it? Should we? It's uh, the chicken or the egg question. Should we create a repo on our um, on our organization account, GitHub account, or should we scaffold an application first and then create a repo later, or how should we play it?
It's funny when we create empty repos for our students, there's a pitfall that they often fall into. It might be good to simulate that because you cannot fork an empty repo, as a lot of people will know. Meaning that you do need push rights to your upstream, or which, I mean, of course, Thomas and I both have. So maybe we should. We'll start with the repo. That's quickly done.
Let's. Do you want to, or should I?
No, go ahead, since your screen is up.
All right.
And I've been thinking about actually pitching you right now live on the kind of application we should build. Instead of always doing the kind of fetch data, map over it, and display it, maybe we can be slightly more ambitious and have like an end goal in mind, even if this is just a showcase.
Okay.
And I went to this great vernissage, an art opening last week at Konstfack, which is an art school here in Stockholm. And they were showcasing the culmination of a class that they teach called Programming for Artists.
Oh.
And they had some cool stuff. A lot of it was hardware based. There wasn't a lot of like web art. And I thought it would be really neat to have a platform to connect our students or anyone who's a web developer with artists as a way to create, interesting portfolio pieces for the job hunt. Also just because it's going to be fun and different than just building information systems. But so I guess what I'm trying to propose to you is an information system which allows users to maybe make a post about an art project they want and what they might need help with as a first step. And then eventually, we could have a matching algorithm thing going on between developers and artists. But but the MVP would be just an anslagstavla, a message board, basically.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
Definitely. Well, it sounds
cool.
like a very
Now
interesting idea, and I also, connecting the world of art with the art of programming is something that I think is fantastic. So just the domain itself is a great thing. So absolutely.
cool.
How about giving it a name? Now you have approximately
Yeah, now I
5
have to
seconds.
pitch you
5
with
seconds to decide on a name.
Man. Well, okay. So the art of programming is the most thick, algorithm textual work around. Maybe we can call it program art.
Program art is okay.
Yeah, you have better?
Could we call it just for travestying a little bit on the thing, we can call it art nouveau,
Yeah.
new art,
Mhm.
which is a style of art, right? But we could also just imply, because it's like, new. I don't know. Is that
Yeah.
something that we could live with?
I can live with that. I like that it's not something that you can remove a vowel out of, you know. And also, I mean, working title, right? Like, let us know in the comments if you have a better suggestion, and maybe we'll take it on board, and you can see us suffer through renaming an existing project, which is a stream in of itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So art nouveau, it can, it's a working title, right? Or we can go with something else, like perhaps a Latin phrase. We could like aim for some really high and pretentious. No, let's just go with that. Right. So we're gonna create a public repository. Would you or would you not like me to add a README to this?
I would rather you didn't. My reasoning would be that, because full disclosure, we're going to use create React app to scaffold our React application.
Yeah.
And it can handle an existing README, and it just renames it to README old, I think. But
I
might
guess.
as well not bother.
Right. But so the thing is that if we add a README, I mean, for the future,
true.
if we do,
Yeah,
then they can actually fork it. If we don't, empty repos can't be forked. So let's not add one, but have knowing that, or you know what? Let's simulate a student situation. Let's actually add a README, and then you gonna have to, I guess, we can create a new app in the existing folder, can't we?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, then let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's add a README, and let's not do anything on git ignore. We can allow the CRA to add the git ignore later. Let's do that. So let's create this repo, and I will just send you in Slack that link so you have it, and then you can basically fork it, right? Because that's what we want to do here, right? We want to work with forks. This would be the upstream, and we are working, right? And so, full disclosure, there are many ways of doing things. This is actually a preferred way by me, that we only have a branch on, in this case, the Craft Academy organizational account, and every developer has their own fork. In my opinion, and it's my personal opinion, this is the best way to use a distributed version control system. But your organization might work differently. There's a sneeze coming.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Gesundheit. Thank you. All right. Woof.
All right.
That'll wake me up. All right. Right. So I'm going to fork this to my private account.
And I will do the same in the background.
And they changed the interface for this, dude. You see that? I can choose not only where I want to fork it, I can also fork it under a different name nowadays.
Snazzy.
I guess it's okay.
Yeah. Well, so people have a lot of different accounts now on GitHub,
Yep. All right.
All right.
So we have a repo. What's the next step?
Well, you're going to want to clone that down, right? Which you can do under that nice green button.
I'm thinking perhaps you can
Yeah, switch over to
scaffold
me,
it.
and everyone switch over to my screen, and you can admire that I have dark mode activated on GitHub
Oh, is
because.
that a thing? Oh, it is a thing.
Oh yeah, come on,
Am I
come
like
on.
a dinosaur having the light thing? Like,
You know, I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it is better to have dark
yeah,
mode
exactly.
activated.
I'm not saying, but well, I am Iron Man.
Depends
Okay,
how late you stay up coding. That's the trick.
that's yeah.
So, in any case, we have this now. I've forked it as well. See, this is indeed in my account. I'm going to grab the code. I use HTTPS, so I don't have to change anything there. And in my terminal, I guess I'll save this in a demos repo directory. Sorry, I'll just do a little git clone, and that's very nice. I will cd into it. And before I do a little Yarn create React app, we do use Yarn. I could add Thomas as a remote. I could add Upstream as a remote.
I think we could do for for everyone watching. I'm doing the same thing here, right? On my screen, I also clone this down and seed it into this, even though this is a totally empty repository. There's a thing that is worth mentioning for those of you who are paying attention, and for us, if we are paying attention, we have a default branch called development. The reason for that is that I've set that as the default branch on our GitHub organizational account. The default setting is main nowadays. It used to be master, it is main.
Yeah.
Now we are using development because we are quite often implementing a deployment flow where the development branch is deployed to a type of server that we call a staging server, and then the main branch that will be created later in this project will be used to push out this code to a production server if we ever get that far. So I just wanted to give that background.
So anyway, now I've already typed in adding Upstream, so I will add Upstream as a remote. And since I'm here, I can go into Insights and look at the other forks where I'll see Thomas's fork. So I'll go ahead and add Thomas as well. I'll call him Thomas. Okay, great. So now it's time to actually instantiate the app. Now, Thomas, what do you think? Should I branch out in order to scaffold the React application?
That's a good. Let's think about that because it's a great question.
Yeah.
So I'm both yes or no, right?
It's going to be a weird pull request because there's going to be a lot of files
and
changed.
overrides and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
it does create a good record.
Yeah, and I think we never really addressed that with our students before.
Yeah,
it has been a bit of a shortcoming over the years. Decisions, right? You know what? I would say branch off. I would branch off. Let's keep the development branch as clean as possible from a history perspective.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll do a git checkout -b for branch, which is shorthand. It's not only checks out a branch, it also creates it. And I will call it scaffold React. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have some code running in our bash profile that shows us what branch we're on, and the git status. Very nice things to have. And now it's just a question of running yarn create React app and then the period. That's it.
Right. And before you hit enter, so just to dissect this, so we need to tell our students at some point what yarn is, right?
Yeah.
Yarn is a package manager alternative to npm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a different syntax if you use yarn versus if you use npm. In
In
npm you
fact,
say yarn create dash React app, I think.
let me. It should be in the docs. Right. So npm init React app. Let me make this a bit
There
bigger.
it is. Even all right. See, that was how long time ago I used this.
Exactly. But they
but you
are
can
the
use
same.
npx create React app. All right. Or you can use right, which
Yeah.
is a better way. So the thing is that if you're not using yarn, I would actually say that npx way of doing things is better, because otherwise you have to install create React app, don't you? No?
You do have to install it onto your machine.
Right, but not if you use npx.
No. Right. But I think we actually do this. We do an npm global install.
All right.
But you can uninstall
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you probably need to, because
yeah, it's in maybe in the welcome section.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see soon.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right. Anyways, that's the and the dot. If you compare the way Max did this, right, with the dot versus the documentation, which actually states the name of the app, this calls for an explanation. If you use the dot notation, it will use the name of the folder you are currently in. In this case, it's going to be Art Nouveau.
Yeah. Shall I run it?
Hit it.
Let's go. Right, so we get a few things. We even get a warning that my yarn is out of date.
I updated mine, just saying.
All right.
Just saying.
We'll see if that. I don't think it's going to cause us any trouble. But,
No.
And we do see a confirmation that it's creating the React app in Art Nouveau, which is great. The only question is, because I know when you instantiate a new React app, you do it does run git init, or it sort of gives you a git folder, a .git directory.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see now if our remotes that I just wrote are retained, or if they're being overwritten. I would hope that they're smart enough to add to them rather than to overwrite them. But we'll see in a second.
Exactly, and the way we can check that is just to do a git log, perhaps with a one-line flag.
Yeah, I'm going to do the git remote -v as well to get a list of all the remotes.
Yep.
Right.
Removing CRA mobile CRI template is interesting.
Yeah. Yarn PKG. Okay, but we're done. It gives us a little instruction about yarn start, yarn build, yarn test, and yarn eject. It does tell us to CD into the Art Nouveau. I think that should probably not be rendered here, but let's look at what we have in here. Indeed, look, the README old has been created, and then we have a new README. Well, we have our node mode is public.
Right.
But
and if you just ls-a, so you can see the hidden files.
Yeah. But I have an alias, so I can just do LA. Yeah. Getting fancy here. But to be clear to students, so you give the A flag to show the hidden files, which has the git ignore, which is what I was hoping to see, and do a git log --1 line, and it really should only be the first commit. And git remote -v. I still have the origin, which is me, my repo on GitHub, Thomas, and the upstream. And so I'm feeling pretty confident. Let's yarn start. I'm just following the instructions of what it told me to do. And we should be seeing, oh, that's an interesting little Webpack warning there. Something spinning up on localhost 3000. And let me open up the terminal again. So this is what's happening. It's starting a development server. It takes a little while to spin up. Maybe I didn't need to do this, But there we go. We've compiled, and we are good to go. Okay. Let's kill this and open it up in code, unless you are aching to take over.
No. Go ahead. Let's see.
Let me clean a little bit, and maybe you can install the Cypress framework in a different branch.
Yeah, because I've never done it actually. I've never done this, and you already configured Cypress10, and I haven't.
Yes, I have.
So I want to do that. Yeah.
All right. So this. Let's first look at our old README and our new README. Our new README gives us how to get started with Create React App. I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna delete everything here. This you can get anywhere. I'm gonna delete the old README. I don't want it.
Yep.
That's just extra stuff. I'm not gonna look inside your unlock, of course. You can peek inside package.json and look. They do. Create React App does put the testing libraries in production dependencies and not in development dependencies. In fact, it doesn't even generate the development dependencies. No. So let's add one.
Yeah. I'm not particularly fond of that. I would. If you don't move it now, we can move it later. But yeah, I would dev dependencies, absolutely.
Yeah. Boom. Wow, it gives me lots of things for free. So I'm just going to highlight these three. And I'm on a Mac, so I can just hit Alt and down, and that moves them down. I format the code to make sure it's happy. JSON can be a little finicky with breaking, so I'm going to make sure I don't introduce any commas where they shouldn't be. Okay, that's all I'll do to the package JSON for now. So I close those two, and let's go into the source, which has a lot of stuff I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't care about their CSS really. Do you care about it?
Nope.
Goodbye. App.js. Now I know that you like to rename this to app.jsx.
Yeah, and I also don't like this function thingy. I prefer the constant notation.
So I'm just gonna delete everything here, and because I have some extensions installed and a mnemonic of Royal Air Force Central Europe, I can read in my pop-up, I'll show you the extension in a second, but I can see that this will generate a React arrow function export component. So I click on that, and here's our component. What do we start with?
Hello world.
Indeed. Right. So nice and simple.
Just a word on this. Like the JSX suffix, I prefer that because it kind of tells me when that certain files will be React components and they will be returning JSX, which is an extension of XML, so JavaScript enhanced XML. So that's one thing. The second thing is that when Max used this this Emmet abbreviation, the constant was automatically named app, and that's because the file name is app.jsx. So it actually looks at the file name and uses that. So that's quite convenient. Yeah.
And if you're interested, I believe this comes from this guy, ES7 React Redux React Native snippets.
Yep.
Anyway, but that is neither here nor there. So let's close that. We can close app.jsx. We're happy with that for now. The test file, I'm not going to use this. Not even for component testing right now.
No.
So it has to go. Goodbye. There's some more CSS here. That also has to go. The index.js we need. If I deleted this, we would no longer have an app.
Nope.
But I need to edit this because we index CSS. I just deleted that, so got to get rid of that. And now comes a question: the web vitals.
Yeah.
For our purposes, I don't
Could
know.
we once and for all figure out what this actually is? There's a link there. I've never followed this CRA vitals. Could we just open that and see what's going on?
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the CRA vitals. Measuring performance. It takes us to create React app, not the React documentation. Just nota bene, they are two different things, even if they're both managed by Facebook. So, okay, by default, create React includes a performance relayer that allows you to measure and analyze performance of your application using different metrics. So to measure any of the supported metrics, you only need to pass a function into the report web vitals function in index.js. So right now, I presume that in this file, report web vitals, oh, this is new. I wonder if this, no, we need to call this, right? And we need to call it inside index.js. So is it
Yeah, but is it worth it?
In index.js? No, it's, oh yeah, if I write console.log here, we will get something in the console, presumably.
And what exactly?
We'll find out once I can run it. But before I can run it,
oh, this is pre-configured, so this is okay now the way it is, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. No, yeah, this one's fine. I mean, I'm gonna format the code. My code formatter does double quotes for JavaScript.
Let's live with that.
We can live with that. I'm gonna delete the logo, even though it's an SVG and doesn't weigh anything. I don't want the React logo. Now I cannot delete this because we're using it. Set up tests I can get rid of. I just got rid of the test file. So we can reintroduce it when it comes time to do component testing. So I'm happy here. Before I spin it up again and look at the console, I'm just going to look inside the index.html because it comes with a lot of comments. You know, is a template. Like, I don't really want this here.
We can remove comments.
And I don't really want an explanation of the manifest. I'm not entirely sure, to tell you the truth, what it's used for, but we can follow the Google documentations to find out. But for now, we won't bother. This follows with a couple of more React logos.
Right. We can get rid of that, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scaffolded stuff here.
Yeah, and it will yell because, of course, those two logos are linked here for the Apple Touch. So I can get rid of that.
Yeah.
But let me spin it up first just to make sure.
So, you know, again, just as a thing, when we introduce this to students, I think we should also mention that there's a virtue. It's a good thing to, you know, keep your house clean. You know, these things comes. This create React app application always comes with a lot of overhead code, and cleaning it up is a good thing. Keep your code as, I mean, the less unused code you have in your application, the easier it is to keep everything nice and tidy and you know, retain control of what you're doing and so on, right? So yeah. I think you can remove this file report web vitals file as well if you. Oh no, you want to keep it around. Sorry.
We're gonna experiment a little bit before we move on. So, but now I'm happy. I'm not gonna bother. I'll leave the favicon in, and we'll change it to our own when we have one.
Gotcha.
But the next thing to do then is to run yarn start again. Same deal as before, right? Yarn start spins up the React scripts. And this that you're seeing was from my past load, so now it's going to look different. So it's still starting the development server.
Yeah.
We should see a little hello world. Hey, look at that.
And we do see hello world. Good stuff.
We see hello world. We see Art Nouveau in the title. I changed that. I didn't call it out when I changed it, but for those that were paying attention, you might have noticed that in index.html in the public directory, I changed the title. That's reflected here. Now comes the big question. Let's
Yeah,
open
what's
the
up with
DevTools
the Web Vitals in the
and look at the
console?
console and see, okay, it spits out an object, a couple of them. Of course, we get a warning, right? Because I deleted the file, it's trying to find it.
Yeah.
And the object has some entries. I can make this a lot bigger. Hang on. Half of the page. Okay, so it's got a delta, an ID,
Yeah, let's
and
have a
it's
look at the
got
entries. What does it look?
entries, processing start, processing end, cancelable. Interesting. So cancelable is true, duration 0, first input, pointer down. Am I yeah,
Right.
I'm not sure what I would use this for. I mean, okay.
With the risk of being come across as ignorant, but I would
Yeah,
say that this is actually something we don't necessarily need in
I
the
don't think
beginning
so.
of the journey.
And if you want to measure like the light, if you're using Chrome, it's a little small right now, but the Lighthouse functionality can generate a report that gives you 99% of the metrics your customers are going to worry about.
Right.
It's going to tell you your SEO rank. It's going to tell you if you fulfill the correct, if you have images, do you have an alt text, accessibility metrics. And okay, it's a little slow right now, but it's super fast and it gives you a very nice output that you can easily work with.
Right.
So I would rather rely on this. Okay, I mean now it's maybe because I'm using it on localhost, I think. But so I would go for Lighthouse instead of the Web Vitals. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of them. I'll delete this file. And then, of course, I need to go into index.js and delete this. And I need to delete the import statement. And I'll format my code again, just in case. And now I'm ready to commit. Well, I still have the server spinning, so I can reload here and just make sure everything's fine. Great. I'll kill it. And I'll say git status. And I'll say git add everything.
Mm-hmm.
And git ci-am, and I'll say ta-da, which will give me a nice little GIF, and I'll say scaffolds and cleans new React application.
Yep.
And I will push that to myself and check out the process here. So I'll do a git push origin scaffold React. Mm-hmm. And read very carefully the message here. Create a pull request for Scaffold React on GitHub by visiting. If you're on Linux, you can just click this link, but I have to highlight it, copy it, and then instead of navigating, I just type in open and I paste it in. And voila, GitHub is smart enough that, look, it figured out that it wanted me to look in the base repo, which is my upstream, right, into the development branch. The emoji didn't.
Yeah, because it takes the first. It automatically takes the first commit as a title of the PR, so that's just needs to be updated. So. Should be good.
So usually I would put the user story and all kinds of things here, screenshots. But this is, we're scaffolding an app. There's not much to be said.
Yep.
So I'm just going to go ahead and create the pull request. And yeah. Do you want to take over a little bit? Yeah.
Let's switch over here. We're going to go to Craft Academy, and there is a PR. And there's not much to be said about this, probably, right? We have a nice little Git emoji here. We change 9 files.
That's not so bad for a new application.
Nope. Right, and we have this. We have everything in the git ignore that we need. We have the package JSON. We didn't clean this one up yet, right? We could probably remove the eject eject thingy. You move this. I think this looks as good as it gets. All right, there's nothing. Yeah, well. We could actually you know what? Let's pull up your screen and make you do another commit on this one. Let's clean up those icons so we can silence that warning. Do you understand?
Yeah. Well, for that, if you switch over to me, here we are in the public directory index.html.
And
and you know, I can just remove the favicon. I can remove the Apple Touch icon, and I can remove the manifest.
But there is a problem with removing the manifest, because
there is. We'll get a warning.
We shouldn't be telling people to remove that because they could there could be a validation error later when you try to deploy and stuff. I would rather go in and change those icons to an empty array or something, and change the name of the application.
Let's do that.
Right. I am also not really I don't know what this display standalone and theme color and background color is, to be completely honest. Never cared about this, never had any usage of it, so we can probably leave it as it is, I guess.
Yes. I guess.
And also, I'm thinking about the robots.txt. If there's any changes that I don't think we need to change anything. The question is, should we? Should we not? Let's not prolong this. Let's keep it as
we leave it for now. We'll leave it for now. The big question is, well, did I remove the favicon? Yes, I did. We might want to say in content, give it another description for the meta tag, which we can just say Art Nouveau aims to pair programmers with artists.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Nothing too fancy. So then we can remove this. And for sanity's sake, if you're finalizing your pull request, you know, make sure you didn't break anything if you're doing small changes, because you never know. So I'll close this. Compiled successfully. Hello world. Did we get any warnings in the console? We did not. You know, I'm force reloading. No warnings. I feel okay. It looks like my browser stashed the favicon.
Yeah, it does.
But whatever. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
So let's kill that. Do a little git status. Okay. Since I deleted, I'll do a git add and then git ci-am, and I'll say edits manifest and removes favicon, React favicon.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Push, all right. Origin scaffold React.
All right.
All right. Now you should have 2 commits there.
And now I will see a pop-up on my GitHub interface that this has been that I need to refresh my page. GitHub is smart that way. So we got everything I need, I think. The yarn lock. So there's also always a discussion whether the yarn lock should or should not be included in git ignore, or in version, you know, under version control. I think I've landed in that it should be actually included.
Yeah, that seems to be the growing consensus. To me as well.
So here's the thing. Now, when we're gonna merge this, and I don't know if you know about this or if we have discussed this, Max, but we can either merge this pull request, right? Or you can do something called squash and merge. Now, the squash and merge is kind of interesting, and it should be mentioned to students, especially if they're going to work on other open source projects or in bigger enterprise projects, is that you want to keep the Git history of the main branch that you're using for production or pre-production servers free from a massive amount of commits. Do you understand? Like let's in this case you have 2 commits on this feature branch. Sometimes you can have 10, 20, 30 commits. Sometimes you experiment. You have to commit to a preview server, and you do a lot of small commits with when you mess around with some configuration, and you can end up with a massive amount of commits, which makes the history of commits hard to read. And there the squash and merge comes into play, because what it does, it just squashes all the commits into one, and the merge commit is the only one that is visible on the history. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm actually going to squash and merge in this case.
I think you absolutely should. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you that we became a bit sloppy over the years at Craft Academy with students not to use squash and merge. I remember when me and Raul were working back in 2014 up to 18 or something, we always squashed and merged. Well,
I mean, there is an argument for, while you're a student, to not do it, because you want your instructors to be able to follow kind of your thought process, and even kind of
they can do that. One argument could be then that they could still follow that by looking at the PR itself.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me demonstrate.
You're right. Yeah.
Let's squash and merge this now.
Protect the record.
Right. And you see we get this this message, and I can confirm the squash and merge. Oh shit, sorry. And now if I look at the commits of the entire project, I see 2 commits, which is the initial one, and then the second commit is the name of the PR.
Yes.
Right. With the rest of the commit messages as multi-line message, and there is this link to the PR itself.
Nice.
Which retains the original commits, right? So if you want to track this, you can always do that.
Okay. Well, great. So non-destructive squashing. All
right. So let's we can stick to that somehow, I guess. Right. Cypress, right?
Let's install some development dependencies.
Right. So on Cypress.io, we can see that it should be pretty simple. You just install Cypress, right? But it's not that simple, is it? Because we want to add Cypress as a dev dependency, and we're also going to use YAR, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do... So what I'm going to do now is that I'm on my development branch. Let me clear this up, right? I'm on my development branch, and I'm just going to do, just as a demonstration, if I do git remote -v, I have Max set up. Oh, sorry, I have Max set up as a remote. I have my own origin that points to my account, and we have upstream that points to Craft Academy. And again, since we are talking about how to explain this to students, this is very important. But at this stage, when we go through this with our learners, we've already had a few demos on version control, right? So they should be pretty acquainted to the fact that we can have multiple remotes, right? So we should be good. Max worked on a separate branch, but we merged it into the development branch, which means that I need to do git pull upstream development. Okay, why not? Well, okay, I know why. What happened now is that my autocomplete didn't work, so I just need to do git fetch upstream, and now I can do git pull upstream development, and my autocomplete works. And autocompleting your git git prompt is really useful. We should always do that. That prevents us from making typos. Now I want to install. I can tell by looking at this output that there is some changes to yarn. because the yarn log has grown with 8,900 lines of code. So I probably need to install some dependencies. And I will also argue that every time you pull down some new code, it doesn't cost you more than a second to type yarn and hit enter. And if there is a new dependency, it will be automatically installed. Just do it as a precaution. It's a good practice. Right, I'm going to check out the new branch. So I have, well, I can do this. Check out, and a new branch would require me to pass in the B flag, and I'm going to say Cypress setup. That's what I'm going to call my branch. And I'm just going to do npm, I'm going to do yarn add as a development dependency the Cypress library, but I'm also going to add another dependency that is called start server and test. Start server and test. I'm not wrong here.
That's correct.
Right. Yeah, let's add that. And the start server and test is it's like a helper library that will help me to spin up the application and make sure that it's actually started before I run my application. Yeah, or my test suite. Okay. So there are several things we can do here, but let's pick the lowest hanging fruit at this point. I think what I should be able to do is to go into my package.json, go into scripts. First of all, I want to get rid of this script. I don't want the eject script to be present. Why? Because it's never used, unnecessary, and it could be used by accident, and that's gonna be a bit of a mess. Can we say that?
I think that's fair.
Do we need to go into what eject does actually?
Why not in a few sentences? But I've rarely used it, so you know, does it drop all the stuff that Create React app has configured for us? Is that the deal?
One could say, in a way, to keep it simple, that the Create React app comes with a lot of magic, right? Stuff that it just does, and everything is pre-configured for you. Sometimes you want to override the pre-configured settings, and since they are hidden underneath the hood of the scaffolder, you have to bring them up to the surface, and that's exactly what eject does. It removes some presets and brings everything up to the surface. I think that's the shortest explanation I can give. Since there are libraries that allows us to reconfigure the CRA, Create React App, I don't see a reason to keep this around for now, at least.
Yeah, you can always add it back.
Right. Oops. Sorry. What happened now? Yeah, I think I need to disable my copilot because it gives me too much stuff, right? But what I want to do is to create create a script to open Cypress. So I will create, just call it CI open, and that would be Cypress open. And then I want to create a general setting to spin up this application without a browser. And then once the application has started, I want to start Cypress. So I'm gonna call this script Cypress, and I will say browser equals none, and then I wonder if I can do it like this: start, well, server and test, right? And we want to do that on using start. the start script, right, which is this one. And then we want to wait for HTTP localhost. And this React app runs on port 3000 by default. And once that is done, we just want to say CI open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to try this first, and then we can simplify this a little bit. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if this works. So if this works, then we should be able to just run yarn Cypress. Okay, it starts the server. So far so good. And now it opens up this. And on my other screen, I see this.
Ta-da!
And it says that E2E testing is not configured and component testing is not configured. This is the new interface of Cypress 10, right?
Yep.
It looked differently just a week ago, and we can see that we're in version 10.03, and we're going to configure E2E testing, right? And this is something that we need to do on the first run, I think. Let's see. So we're just going to click on configuring this.
Right.
And Cypress is telling me that we've added the following files to your project: the Cypress config.js, a support file, E2E.js in the support folder. Well, first of all, it created a Cypress folder for me. We have the commands, and we have an example fixture. So I can just continue. And now we can choose a browser, and it comes predefined with Electron and Chrome. But also, for those of you who are using Firefox, that would show up here, right?
It does for me.
Yeah, it detects what browsers you have installed if they are supported by Cypress. I also have Safari installed on my computer. It doesn't show up here, so I'm just assuming that Safari is not supported by Cypress. I don't know if I'm correct in that assumption.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, but we're gonna go with Chrome, and it opens up a testing interface, and it of course opened up on a different screen for me, so I'm gonna move it over here, and I should be good. We don't have any specs, so we will return to this interface later when we actually have something to test, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it also, yeah, well, you know, if you're using Cypress for the first time, they give you an option to scaffold some example tests, or create a new empty spec directly from here, which I'm actually inclined to try. Why not? See if it.
Just see what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
See if they give us any freebies.
Yeah. Enter the path
specs.
for so I will say user visits application. So this is a new thing. They changed this recently. The default setting was that you give your test a name and say .spec.js. We've always promoted the suffix or prefix called feature or feature rather. So you would have a test name .feature.js, but the new format or new, I don't know, best practice or directive, I don't know what to call it, from Cypress is to use this .cy.js. Anyway,
I think their argument for that, as I understand it, was that it is possible that you're running many different kinds of test suites, test frameworks on an application, and they wanted the Cypress tests to be Cypress unique.
Right. Could be. Yeah. All right, so we're going to create this spec and describe empty spec. Yeah. Oh, they want me to copy this.
Okay.
Okay, so what they okay. So what they do is that they create a file, but they don't populate the file with anything.
No.
All right. Okay, so what if I just run it without copying this? What will happen?
Hopefully it yells at us. We'll see.
Shouldn't happen. Nothing should happen. Kitchen sink.
Huh, that's new.
Right. So let me just see what happened here. So we have the new folder. We have the E2E. Oh, okay. So they did add it actually. Okay.
But it visits example.cypress.io.
Yeah. And that's what we are seeing here. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's the thing. Let me just add a little bit of testing first, right? So user visits visiting the application is expected to see hello world, right? And I will just visit, so I can do HTTP localhost 3000, and I would say CI get body should contain text, and the second argument would be hello world, right? And we're getting some warnings. I'm going to address them in just a second, but we have a test, and we reload, and the test passes for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so before I reconfigure some stuff, we can actually just open up a new terminal here, do a git status, and we can see that we modified package.json, the yarn lock, and we have this Cypress config.js file, and we have the entire Cypress folder recreated. So I will just do git add everything and git ci am installs and adds basic configuration of Cypress 10, right?
Yep.
Adds right. Okay, I will not push this up yet because there are a few things that I want to change. First of all, just to stay on the safe side, I will disable no undefined variables in the entire file. So this will add this comment up on the top of my file, so I can silence this warning with this underline, so under CY. That's one thing. The second thing is that I want to avoid having to type out the URL of the application at all times. I want to be able to do this, and in order to be able to do that, I need to add a base URL here, which I assume is here, right?
Yes, I believe so. We will find out very soon.
Right. So this will tell Cypress that our end-to-end test, which is this block for the final configuration, will always use this base URL. And there is another setting that we've always told our students to use about the Chrome web security, and we always set this to false. And I can add it here. We don't necessarily have to have it in this very basic setup because we're not going to use any external calls yet, I assume. But we want to override some security issues in Chrome, and I will cover this in more detail in another stream because it calls for an explanation.
Yeah.
That is perhaps a little bit out of scope here.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's about it, what I need to do. Let's have a look if everything is working still. Now I changed it. No, see, I changed the configuration of Cypress, which means that I have to stop it and restart it because the config file is read upon instantiation, right? So we want to get rid of this. And I really don't like this interface. No,
oh yeah, I've been getting those warnings too when you kill it from the terminal
really?
using Control-C. Yeah, that it quit unexpectedly.
How would you stop it otherwise?
I don't know if there's a button or something, but
right,
it is a bit annoying.
Yeah, and also it's annoying that I have to choose this over and over again. Doesn't feel. Perhaps we need to read the docs for some settings of Cypress10.
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, and we're passing this. And while you're doing this, I will just go into my package JSON and change this a little bit. So this line is a little long. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna simplify this a little bit just by saying start test, and then I just have to say :3000. It will understand that this is its localhost. So I should be good on that as well. I'm gonna restart Cypress again. And we should be okay. Yeah, apart from this nonsense, there must be a setting for this. I can't imagine that they don't include that.
Yeah.
Right, and everything works. So hello world is a-okay at this point. Right, so I'm gonna head over again. I'm gonna kill this, head over to my terminal and do git status. Right, and I'm gonna do git ciam updates Cypress config modifies start or Cypress script. Yeah, Cypress script. Okie dokie. And now I can do git push origin Cypress setup, and I will see this thing again, similar to what Max experienced a while back with this link that I am given for free from Git, or from GitHub rather, sorry, to create a PR automatically with this one. And this is interesting. Now it actually took the branch name and titleized it as a PR title. Isn't this weird? Because in your case it took the first commit message as a title. Yeah.
Could it be a setting that I have different
I don't know.
from you?
But this is not bad actually. If you're smart about setting the branch name, then this is kind of good. Similar to what happened with Max's PR. With your PR, you have the development branch chosen as the base repo, and the head repository is my fork Cypress setup. I can just create this PR. What other options do I have, by the way? Oh, looky. There's an option here to create a draft pull request.
Oh, so you don't need the work in progress flag then.
Right. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take note of that. Yeah. But in this case, we just want to create a PR.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can add Max to be or request a review from him, and so on. And you see my setting, because I chose squash and merged in the previous PR, it is automatically preset now to squash and merge. Yeah. But I'm gonna let you review this and see if we can go ahead and merge this, right?
Yeah, I'll have a look. So as you see, I'm on the Craft Academy Art Nouveau GitHub repo, and there is a pull request. So let's have a look in there. It's called Cypress Setup. Seems simple enough. And nota bene, it defaulted to merge pull request for me. But anyway, let's first
because
of all,
it's probably a local setting.
yeah,
Probably stored in some sort of cookie or what have you, right?
Yeah. But okay, so here we get a Cypress config.js, which is the old Cypress JSON. This is what it's called now. Where we're setting a base URL. So all of this looks great to me. And the Chrome web security to false. We have an actual test.
I wonder if we should remove this setup node events or not. Since we're not using it.
That would probably be better form, because this way of configuring Cypress is new. It could be good to keep it in, because I am no doubt going to forget, and if it's there, I'm more likely to Google it and read the documentation properly. But
I'm going to get rid of it.
Yeah, we get rid of it. Get rid of it. Yeah. But while you do that, I'll look at the test. So I noticed that you are mixing single quotes. No, you are only using No, you're mixing single quotes and double quotes.
I am not. I'm not doing such thing.
Never. But we should.
No, if you're referring to line 3 on the.
Well, I was actually comparing the JSON formatting with the JS formatting. I guess JSON, the reason why I like the double quotes.
Right.
So no, you're right. Of course, here, because you have double quotes inside, you get a pass every time. But given that the other components that are JSX objects,
right.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to change that.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I fixed that.
And I guess the reason why I sort of lean double quotes for JavaScript files is that JSON, I think, requires it, right?
Yeah.
And JSON is, after all, JavaScript object notation.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, so what I did is I formatted my code. Look, just a quick look at my screen. So I just run the prettier through this, and it's automatically changed to double quotes. Apart from this one, I had to change this manually because I wrapped the hello world string with doubles, so that didn't change. But I updated it. I totally hear what you're saying. Let's go with that.
Okay, we have the scaffolded comments in the support commands and what's now called end-to-end E2E.js files, which I'm fine with. When we start working with them, we can edit them. And then, I like the shorthand for the Cypress command, the start tests instead of start server and tests. I find this quite easy to read.
I think there's a call for a very brief explanation about this browser none. We have that here because both me and Max are using OS X. We're on Macs. This will prevent the start script to pop open a browser and then open up Cypress browser. So that's why we say browser none. On a Windows computer, that wouldn't work, so you have to do it slightly different. Potentially in the description, we can link to an explanation how you can do that. And if you are on a mixed team, where some people are using OS X, others are using Windows or Linux, then there is a workaround around that as well that we can share to. Right, we can link to.
Just ask us.
Yeah.
But this is good to me. Oh, let me just confirm. Yeah, they're in the development dependencies. So did you push up? Did my
No. So sorry, I was thinking that.
Yeah, because I didn't see the little refresh.
So git,
button yet.
Let me just switch over here. Git CI/am.
And actually, the Cypress config.js, we do have a mix of doubles and singles.
Okay. Let me just push this in.
Yeah. Let's see if
Right.
right.
Which one were you referring to?
So Cypress config.js.
Oh, shoot.
Now I have to refresh. This popped up. So hello WebSockets. Let me just refresh it. And yeah, just for the base URL, I can change that to
formatting. Formatting, is that double T formatting? No. Formatting in Cypress.
I think it is double T.
Format is single T for.
Yeah, but with the ting, you get the double.
All right. Okay. Formatting. Oh, it looks weird, but I take your word for it. Right. So now you should see that as well now.
Yep. I just click refresh. I get to see the changes. I've now viewed this, and this is just the example. That's fine. We are good to go. So LGTM, of course. The code is reviewed. And shall I go ahead and merge?
Squash
and by
it?
merge, I mean squash and merge?
I think so. Well, it's your decision, brother.
No. I decide to do it for sure. Right, because this is a good candidate, right, for merging.
Exactly.
Because I whined about formatting, which, some developers probably say, why don't you just automate that? But we're not there
well,
yet.
but actually, in this case, for those of you who paid really, good attention, there was something that I couldn't auto format. Because I was wrapping the hello world with double quotes. That test message stayed in single.
That's a good point.
So.
Okay, but here we are. And Cypress setup, that's the PR2. These are the, co-authored by. It's just authored by, but okay. Let's confirm that.
Is it still using this dragster nonsense?
No. No. It's
it
not.
Did.
This is.
It said co-authored by Dragster, didn't it?
Well, we'll see in a second. No, I don't think so. I think it just said Thomas. I'm going into the one. Thomas. No. Few changes.
No, co-authored by Thomas, and then look at this damn
Where do you see
email
that?
address. No. Go to the go to code.
Yeah, I'm going to code.
Commits, 3 commits.
Yeah.
3 and pop open the multi-line. No, just the 3 dots. There you go.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's because I am slow. I am slow. In my head sometimes, or in my actions. I don't know.
Can I edit that, or is this now part of the record?
We can.
I guess we could open it up. And
we can. Yeah. You know what? We could. Well, but that's a bit of a hack. Let's. No, let's not do it. You can always amend those commits, but let's not do that. Yeah. And the weird thing is, why didn't that show up on yours? Oh, I know why it didn't show up on yours. Because there's a discrepancy between my Git settings on my local machine and my GitHub account.
All right. That's for being fixed off camera. Yes. I think we've sort of arrived at where we wanted to begin the journey.
I think so.
And, we've gone a little bit over time, but we forgive ourselves, right?
Yeah. Let's just do, since we are a bit over time anyway, let's just take 5 minutes, a recap. There's always some configuration that needs to be done in the beginning of a project. And I know for a fact, because I've had these comments before from students, is that I'm a little bit too anal and too thorough in my cleanup and the basic configuration. Some folks they just want to jump over some hoops. Just let's get coding as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. My take on this is that it's better to clean stuff up in the beginning. Get as smooth as an installation as possible before you get started, because you will never do it later. You will never get around to do a cleanup if you skip this initially. And B, as I said before, in my opinion, the fewer lines of code you have, and the sooner you start following like double quotes and formatting and all of that stuff, the better it is for you. Keep your house clean and you will be able to focus on the relevant stuff. That is my take on that. What do you say?
Yeah, yeah. Keep it tidy at the beginning. The work you save yourself down the road is significant. It's really significant. So this might feel like, oh, it's so rigid every time, these hoops, but it's a boon. It's to help you.
Right.
So do it, or else.
And by being thorough, you expose stuff like, for instance, the misconfiguration of my Cypress of my Git settings, sorry, locally, and some other stuff. It's it's better to do it like this. Audience, thank you. Max, thanks. This was the first part of this. We have an idea of this app. We're going to continuously return to this one. Art Nouveau will be we will add a README to this repository. It will be open sourced, unless you say something different.
No, I think open source is super worth it, and we'll deploy it continuously. We follow sort of Scrum and Agile methodologies for software development. So our hope is that people participate in this, and then they can put up issues and fork us, and then do all these kinds of things, and that will just make it more fun and valuable.
Absolutely. And perhaps at the end we have a working application. Perhaps we can have other people contribute, since it's open source. It's going to be fantastic. Right. That will do it for us. We will be back, I guess, tomorrow, right?
Yeah, let's do a thing tomorrow. Now I'm kind of pumped. I want to add features.
And I'm up for it. Perhaps we can do a double stream tomorrow. It depends a little bit.
Let's go for
but
that.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. See ya.